I'm Dr. Erin Zovath with Maximize Living. I practice here in Jacksonville, Florida. And the next topic that we're going to be going through is your lifestyle killing you? We are now at an epidemic of lifestyle-induced diseases. We're seeing more and more people sick and suffering, and at some point we have to say enough is enough. When we look around, the new normal has become where kids are having to be put on medications for autoimmune conditions, asthma, allergies. We're seeing more and more ADHD medications being prescribed. We're seeing teenagers with hormone imbalances. We're seeing them having to be put on medications already for high blood pressure. Adults, preventatively, we've seen 20 and 30-year-olds being put on blood pressure medication, diabetes medication, all of these things preventatively. We're seeing adults having to medicate themselves to sleep. We're having to see them stimulate themselves to stay awake. So this is what we're seeing going on around us, and this is common, but common doesn't equal normal. Something has to change. When we look at what's going on around us, if we want to live a different life, we have to do something drastically different. When we look at being prescribed medication for high blood pressure, it doesn't mean that we don't have high blood pressure anymore. We look at taking drugs to cover up symptoms, and that way of managing disease through life, that doesn't fix anything. This should be uncommon, that way of living. So if we want to live a different life, we have to completely change our lifestyle, and this should become the new normal. So when we look at healing and functioning at 100%, that's normal, and we need to push more to make sure that people around us are living this lifestyle with us. This new cycle is going to give you all the tools and resources to make lifelong changes, not about a short term, but changing the way that you view and manage your health. So make sure to get plugged into all the events. The advanced workshop, Is Your Lifestyle Killing You? Is going to give you tons of tools and resources. So make sure to stop in at the front desk and get signed up for the events.
This is Kimberly Roberta with Maximize Living. Today I have a really fun recipe to show you. I love this one, it's awesome. So granola is a go-to for a lot of people. A lot of people like to eat it as cereal in the morning or take it as snacks or put it over their ice cream. But this is a grainless granola, so no grains whatsoever. And it's absolutely delicious. You're gonna love it. So you can make a big batch of it and put it in a container in the fridge and save it for a while if it lasts that long in your house. Okay, so first what I'm gonna do is I have about 2 cups of sprouted nuts here. Now, the benefit to sprouting them, meaning you soak them overnight in filtered water and then dry them nicely. I put these in the dehydrator to make sure they were nice and dried out. Otherwise, you can spread them on a sheet or on a rack to make sure that they dry. But what it does is it makes them much more digestible. It breaks down those enzyme inhibitors that are in them that a lot of people have trouble digesting, just increases the nutritional value of them. And I know you can't feel it, but if you sprout nuts, you can feel they're a little crispier and lighter. And so it just makes for a nice granola. So I'm gonna put these in here. Now, if you're wanting to use this for something like a cereal, you may wanna throw this in the food processor and make it into smaller chunks. I'm gonna use this more as a trail mix. So I'm gonna leave the nuts fully intact here. Okay, and then we're just gonna add ingredients. And again, the nice thing about this, you can change it out however you want. I'm gonna put in about a half a cup of raw pumpkin seeds, and I have about a cup here of coconut flakes. And I love these coconut flakes because they're really, they're nice and flat and thick, so these are good as a snack on their own, but they do really nice in the granola. If you use the shredded coconut, you can do that, it just doesn't hold up as well and you can't really see the nice flakes of coconut, so I like those. And then I'm gonna put a couple other things in here. I'm gonna put a teaspoon of cinnamon, I'm gonna put a teaspoon of sea salt, I'm gonna put a teaspoon of vanilla, and you wanna check your label on the vanilla. They sneak things in there sometimes like sugar and weird ingredients, so you wanna make sure that you check that out. And I'm gonna put about a teaspoon of fresh ginger. You could use ground ginger like from a bottle, but fresh ginger is always the way to go if you can. So again, I just peeled it, I'm using a microplane, and I'm just shredding it right over the mixture here. Okay, perfect. All right, And here I have 1/4 of a cup of melted coconut oil. I'm gonna give this a stir first just so we get all the ingredients mixed up. And what this is gonna do is this is gonna hold everything together, and we're gonna put it in the oven and it's gonna come out like granola, so some of the pieces will kind of clump together. So I've got coconut oil here, and then this is 1 egg white that I've just kind of whisked up so it's kind of frothy. And this is going to make it, again, stick together, make it nice and shiny. Now, you can put the mixture right into the oven like this, but I'm gonna show you, I forgot one little ingredient over here that I'm gonna grab. So this is erythritol. You could use stevia, you could even use something like honey to kind of help this sweeten and blend together. Just remember that honey is very high in fructose and it's gonna spike your blood sugar. So if you want to, you can put about 1/4 of a cup of something like erythritol in there just to sweeten it slightly. You don't have to put it in there. If you could do without it, great, do that. But if you want to kind of show off for people that aren't used to eating healthy and you can tell them that there's no sugar or grains in this grainless granola, it's a good thing to do. So it looks lovely like this. You can actually eat it just like this if you want to. Again, if you want to have the most health benefits from nuts, you'll sprout them and eat them raw. But in this case, we're gonna make this more of like a dessert, a special treat. So we're gonna put this in the oven. And all I'm gonna do is spread it out in one even layer in parchment, or put parchment on my baking sheet here. You wanna spread it out as much as you can. You don't want a lot of overlap here. Okay, so I have this all spread out in a thin layer. I'm gonna go over here, put it in the oven. I have it at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes, and you may wanna check it, give it a stir, and just make sure that it's not browning around the edges and things like that. We'll come back and check it in just a few minutes. All right, our grainless granola has been in the oven for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna take it out here and give it a stir. You want to try to get it off this hot pan as soon as you can so that it doesn't continue to cook. So I'll just scoop a little bit into here. And you can see how lovely it looks with the addition of the coconut oil, which is healthy and it helps it stick together, and the 1 free-range egg white. You can see how wonderful that looks. So you can put it in a glass container, a mason jar, take it with you. It's a great go-to snack to have if you're hungry, or it could be great for breakfast. You could put a little coconut milk over it or almond milk, and that would be a great breakfast as well. You could add some dried fruit for a little extra sweetness. It would be a core plan option. You just want to make sure there's no added sugars, and that's it. Super easy, a great go-to snack.
Every time you get an adjustment or purchase one of the Maximize Living supplements, you're helping someone in need to receive care. Here's one of their stories.
So I heard about Maximize Living when I came to the Dream Center. Everybody was telling me about it because I was born with cerebral palsy in both of my legs. So because of that, there's been a lot of rotation within my hips, and so as a result of that, I've always had back problems. I've always had issues with my bone structure. And so when I came into the chiropractor's office at Maximize Living here on the Dream Center campus, I told them specifically what was going on, and so I right away got connected with them, and then she started adjusting me. And since I was little, because of my disability, the doctors have always told me at my checkups that I would either, by the time I was in my early 20s or throughout my life, that I would either get scoliosis or osteoporosis. And so when I came and she did my x-rays, Dr. April, she had taught me how to read them, and she had already noticed that I was already starting to be in the beginning stages of getting scoliosis and then eventually osteoporosis. And so yeah, so it was just preventive. I had already known about it, and so I came just to kind of see where I was at with that and then try to fix it. As of today, by the end of my first year, last year, I did a second x-ray checkup, and because of the phenomenal work that they do here at Maximize Living, my spine is completely straightened out. drastically, and that excited me because as I went home for Christmas break and then over summer, people noticed it right away. They said that I was walking straighter and I was standing taller and my back was straighter and I had better posture. And so I honestly cannot say how thankful I am for Dr. April and the work that she does. Because of this, I'm able to do a lot more and put my body to more use than it was before. And so because of that, there have been drastic changes that not only I have noticed, but my family, my friends, my colleagues have noticed. And because of that, I am so excited to be able to be of more use to the people around me, to the people that need me. And I could not have been able to do that without the help of Dr. April and Maximize Living.
So after doing your warm-ups, it's really important when you get into the adjusting room to lay down right away. We want to make sure that your body is out of gravity. You just warmed everything up, hydrated the discs, and we want to make sure that your body is out of gravity so you can start to relax and receive the best adjustment. So make sure as soon as you get in the adjusting room, lay down, take some deep breaths, start to relax. We want to make sure that every time you're here, we can remove every bit of interference with each adjustment.
I'm Dr. Fred Roberto with one of my favorite metabolic movements. It's a great one to get your heart rate really going, the bag jump. It's so cliche, but yet another movement that I absolutely love, one of my favorite movements, is simple bag jumps. So it's just about lateral movement, and so I'm going to jump with both feet together from one side of this bag to the other side of the bag and then back. And I want to keep that intensity up without breaking my pattern as hard and fast as I can. And so you could modify this in any way, which I'll show you in just a minute, but just know that the higher that you go, the harder the movement is. So I've got a torn ACL from a basketball injury. I was doing that playing with wrestlers, so it's not a good combination. So you're a wrestler and basketball, it's like oil and water, don't mix too well. But I'm still able to do things like this just fine after rehabbing appropriately, but this is a movement that I really incorporated heavily when I was recovering. So I'm gonna go from this position, I'm gonna jump over to the side here, and once I get here, I'm gonna jump back. And it's about quick feet, it's about good balance and symmetry, and actually there's style points that go into this, because a lot of people are all over the place when they're doing it. We want to just really work on the proprioception and everything else and make sure all of our body parts are working together. So I'm here, I'm going to jump and land. It's just back and forth, fast as I can, get those knees up, and you will feel this in no time flat. If you need to, you can go to a smaller surface. Some people don't trust jumping over a bigger surface like that, so you can get an agility cushion like this. It's the same thing. Don't have to jump as high, but still can go fast. Guess what? Some people don't trust themselves jumping over that. If you've got balance issues, you haven't been working out, maybe you're overweight, working on that. So you could just pick a line in the ground and you could just jump over that. Imaginary line right here. And if you're the person who's got severe limitations and you can't even take that impact, then you can always step and go. But it's going to be quick feet. Step and go, step and go, step and go. That's safe, and about anyone could do that. Those are your bag jumps. Remember, the bigger the surface that you're jumping over, the exponentially harder the movement is. So I used to typically do it on a bench, and you could just rip those off, but man, you're exerting a ton of energy. So those are your bag jumps. Have fun with those. For more information like this, you can visit maximizeliving.com/MaxT3. I'm Dr. Fred Roberto. Max out.
Hi, my name is Peggy Motil. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I have been suffering from fibromyalgia for about the past 10 years. I've had occasions where it just gets worse and worse and worse. People with fibromyalgia know exactly what I'm talking about. There's severe muscle pain, there's joint pain, there's headaches that last for a month, and there's just craziness that happens. There's swelling that makes you feel like you have a broken bone, and then it just goes away. There's IBS associated with it, there's restless legs, there's just all of these things that just come with it. I've been to doctor after doctor after doctor, and they have tried to help me with recommending pills, different rheumatologists, blood work after blood work, and it's just this relentless thing that just happens. I began just feeling hopeless and almost like God had abandoned me. I met a woman who introduced some quality nutrient supplements to me, and I began going down that road because it also comes with malabsorption. I was having to take an enormous amount of supplements, and it was costly. And I quickly grew tired of that because, taking 50 or so vitamins a day can be taxing on you. But it was the only way that I could find any kind of relief. So although I was willing to do it, it was really becoming just overwhelming. Then I was invited to go on a mission trip with a patient here. She's a friend of my daughter's. We went on a mission trip to the Los Angeles Dream Center together. But since she was a patient, she needed to continue her care. So they found a Maximized Living office there, and it just so happened to be in the Dream Center, which was just God's hand in my life. Because while I was there, the Lord began talking to her about getting me to come, have an exam and a consultation. And I just kept telling her, you don't know me, and I understand that, and I appreciate your concern, but I have fibromyalgia, and it's not a spinal condition. And I kept telling her that. And so she's just persistent, and she just kept on and on and on. And so I finally, basically to make her be quiet, I went. And when I sat there in the consultation with the doctor, she saw my screening results and said, I bet you feel like your body just has little bombs going off. And I just began to cry because that's exactly how I felt. And for the first time I realized somebody really knew what I was going through. So I had my first adjustment there, and that was the first night that I actually slept through the night in a long time. And so I got back here and I was able to connect with Dr. Aaron here at Bold City Chiropractic and set up my care plan and began going. And after my third or fourth adjustment here, the pain that just shot across my shoulders and up my neck went away. And I realized that there's really something to this. So I kept coming. I did everything that I was told as far as my nutrition plan, my home exercises, and I started getting better and better and better. And I realized through the teaching that was happening that all this interference with my nerve supply was going away. And so all of these good nutrients that I was taking in, these detoxes that I was doing, these juice cleanses that I was going through, all of this stuff that I was being asked to do with quality nutrition, it was actually really beginning to affect my body in a positive way. And all of this inflammation that now I know was caused by sugar, it was all going away. And I began to really understand just the new principles of health. And I was collecting canes. I just really felt like my lot in life was garbage, and I was just so confused. But as a direct result of all of that happening, my daughter now comes. She no longer has migraines. My husband is coming. His high blood pressure and other things that he has is gonna go away, and I know this. I have friends from church that come, and I tell people when I'm shopping, no matter where I go, I'm talking about this because it's real. and so real that I'm giving my life back to it. I am now an office manager for Bold City Chiropractic, and I will always continue telling people about Maximize Living. So what can it do for you?
When it comes to making change, excuses are typically what hold us back, especially when it comes to nutrition. The things that we did when we were younger are typically what we carry out as adults. We look at how we ate as a child, is how we continue to teach our children how to eat. So at some point, we have to change what happens with future generations. So when we look at, a lot of times parents and families say that it's hard to make changes as a whole, that the kids don't want to eat certain foods. And one of the things that you can control is the environment in your house. So make sure that if you don't want your kids eating certain things, or if you know you shouldn't be eating certain things, don't buy it. Don't let it ever get into the house. We want to teach you that eating healthy can actually taste good. I grew up eating Little Debbie's and horrible foods now that I've learned how to actually eat right. And I want to let you know that eating healthy absolutely can taste good. So make sure to get to one of the recipe nights. Make sure that you understand how to change out the ingredients, to have some of the foods that you've been used to eating, or maybe that your kids are used to eating, but find healthy versions of it. Because we shouldn't be living to eat, we should be eating to live. So make sure to get to the next recipe night, and also go to maximizeliving.com/recipes to get new ideas and make this exciting for you and your family. Every time you get an adjustment or purchase one of the Maximize Living supplements, you're helping someone in need to receive care. Here's one of their stories.
I struggled with addiction for the last 7 years. I've been in and out of rehabs, treatment centers, other things like that. And one day I flew out to California and hoped to get sober. And here recently I ran through a relapse and I ended up in LA, and I don't know how I got here, but I remember getting here with the cab driver, you know, paid for my brother paid for a cab out here and ended up in front of the Dream Center. So I've been sober for about 6 months now. I'm in the Dream Center. I've been coming to Dr. April for 4 months now. I've been having epilepsy for the last 7 years, seizures every 2 or 3 weeks. And after seeing Dr. April and getting on different supplements, and had no seizures for a month and a half now. I've already recommended to my mom, who's got breast cancer, and she's been suffering for that for about 4 years now. And she's big on health and other things like that. And I recommended to her to, you know, maybe check out a Maximize Living in her area. And Dr. April's helped me get different locations for that. And everybody I talk to, I just share my testimony, because it's very powerful what she's done for me. And it's such a debilitating disease I've had over the last years. And now all of a sudden it's put to a stop without any medicine, any doctors. I'm here, and it's a natural remedy, and it feels so good to experience it, and I can't help but share it to others.
Hey, this is Zach with Maximize Living, and if you're just starting with working out or getting into MaxTV, one of the best ways to make sure you're doing something safely is to come into one of the MaxTV workouts at your office. If you're working out at home though, and something doesn't feel right or just feels off, then stop and ask us, because part of Maximize Living is, or what we pride ourselves in being, is technique people. So if you don't feel right doing a movement, or if you feel like you're doing something incorrectly, just ask somebody that's on staff at the office and make sure you're going through that movement safely, so you know you're working out and getting the most out of your workouts and working through that complete range of motion in a safe way. Another way to get as much out of MaxT3 as you can, we'll be going to maximizeliving.com/MaxT3, where you'll get exercise demonstrations and a weekly workout update.
Hi, this is Kimberly Roberto, and I'm coming to you today with a great go-to recipe. This is something that I make a lot, and I'll be honest with you, the store-bought versions just never taste the same, and that's hummus. I love this again because it has good healthy ingredients and you can spice it up and do whatever you like to it. There's so many variations. I'm going to show you how I do mine. This is how I do mine every single time. It's so easy. So I have a can of organic chickpeas here, and I actually leave a little tiny bit of the water that comes in with it because it's a little bit starchy, and it'll give your it'll help your hummus blend up a little bit. So again, I just keep a little tiny bit of it in the can. The rest I strain, put right in. Really easy. And then I love this ingredient too. It's tahini. So all it is ground sesame seeds, which again are a good seed for you to get into your diet. So again, you can put as much as you want. I put a couple of spoonfuls of it in there because I personally love the way that it tastes and I like the way that it blends up. And then I like lots of lemon in mine. I don't think any good hummus is good without lemon in it. So I'm gonna put a couple of lemons in here. It just makes the taste so fresh and has a little bite to it, which I love. I put other things in there that give it a bite too. I'll show you in a second. So lots and lots of lemon. You could even put more than this in there if you wanted to. I think one large lemon is gonna do just fine. And then I'm gonna blend this up because I want the chickpeas to be nice and creamy before I put the rest of the ingredients in. Okay, so it's not completely creamy yet. That'll happen when we put the olive oil in there, but I like to scrape down the sides too, just to make sure we're getting everything in there. So I'm gonna spice it up now and add the olive oil at the very end. So lots of nice Himalayan salt, or this is actually a real salt, mineral salt. You don't want to use regular table salt. Some fresh ground black pepper. And again, just do this all to your taste. I have a difficult time measuring things, so it's hard for me to write recipes sometimes because I just kind of go by taste. And I love cumin, so I'm gonna put a little bit of cumin in there. And I usually sprinkle a little bit more on the top of it when it's finished. And for a little extra spice, I'm gonna put just a dash, a little tiny bit of cayenne pepper. And again, you can make this as spicy as you want. There's so many variations of things you could put in here. You could put in sun-dried tomatoes, you could put in artichoke hearts, you could put in red peppers, pine nuts, walnuts. You can put in a whole host of different things. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this on, and as it's going, I'm gonna pour in about 3 tablespoons or so of olive oil. And again, I don't really measure, but I like to look at the consistency of it, and you'll see how it changes a little bit. Hear the motor sort of change when the consistency changes to what I want. So again, this is just, trial and error. And to be honest with you, with hummus, it could be chunky, it could be smooth, it could be however you want it. So you really can't mess this up, I promise. So you can see how it's nice and creamy now. It's gonna be lemony and a little spicy, and that's all there is to it. So you could have this with flax crackers, you could have it with chopped up vegetables for a snack. I put this on the side of my salad and just kind of dip my veggies into it as I go, but it is awesome. A lot of people put it on like sandwich wraps and things like that, but it's good anyway. It's absolutely delicious and really good for you too because it has the good fats and it has the tahini and it has the chickpeas with lots of fiber. That's really all there is to it, guys. So make this for a crowd. You can doctor it up however you want, and traditionally what people do when they serve it at a restaurant, let's say, is they'll put a little bit of olive oil on top just for presentation. And again, I put a little sprinkle of cumin on there. just to make it look beautiful. And that's all there is to it. I'm gonna give it a try. Lemony and delicious. Give it a try.
So lifestyle trumps genetics. The majority of disease is lifestyle induced, but yet we're taught that our genes control our destiny. All of the medical information that's out there tells us that if we were born with bad genes, there's nothing we can do about it. And again, that's a complete lie that we've been told. So when we think about genetics, there's actually been a field of epigenetics that's been out for years that tells us that within 3 months of lifestyle changes, we can literally turn on or off hundreds of genes. So genes that may be promoting disease, we can actually turn those off. So that is the empowerment that we want you to understand. When we talk about genetics, it's kind of like a loaded gun. So if you were born with bad genes, that means that the gun is already loaded. But if you have a gun sitting across the room and nobody's touching it, that gun isn't going to kill anybody. The only way that that gun's going to kill somebody is by somebody pulling the trigger. And your lifestyle is pulling the trigger. So we want to make sure that we make the changes necessary to turn off those genes or make sure that that trigger never gets touched. So our cells always respond to our environment. If you were to have a fish that was dying in a dirty fish tank, you wouldn't say, what medications do I need to give this fish? You would first change its environment. You would clean it up. And that's what we need to understand when it comes to our health. When it comes to disease, there's always a cause. Disease does not happen randomly. And in order to find the cure of any disease, we have to get down to the cause. We have to find out where the interference is. And that's why we look at all the 5 essentials. Any one of those essentials, if there is interference to your body's ability to heal, that is where disease is coming in. So make sure that you're plugging in truly to all those 5 essentials. We tend to pick and choose the ones that we like the most. We have people who really respond to the nutrition side or the exercise side, but realize that they're essential for a reason. That means that all of them are necessary in order to make sure our body is healing and functioning at 100%. So make sure to plug into all the events and resources that your office has, the next advanced workshop, and think about if you have friends or family that are consistently blaming the disease that they have on their genetics, get them to one of these workshops. We want them to be able to change their mindset and understand what health really is. So after doing your warm-ups, it's really important when you get into the adjusting room to lay down right away. We want to make sure that your body is out of gravity. You just warmed everything up, hydrated the discs, and we want to make sure that your body is out of gravity so you can start to relax and receive the best adjustment. So make sure as soon as you get in the adjusting room, lay down, take some deep breaths, start to relax. We want to make sure that every time you're here, we can remove every bit of interference with each adjustment.
Well, my name is Devin Clark and I am from Jacksonville, Florida. I learned about Maximized Living through an event called Winning My Race. And at first I was so skeptical. I just listened to the people speak and speak and speak. But then my wife actually decided to get me into the office. She drugged me here. I was dying. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, borderline diabetic. I was morbidly obese. I couldn't move. I had L5, S1 fusion back surgery. About 2 years ago, I was disabled sitting at the house, and if I did move around, I was on a walker. I was only 30 years old, so being on a walker at 30 years old was not where I wanted to be. It could only go down from there is where I could only imagine. It was only gonna get worse. But then I got drugged into the office, like I said, and it was the best thing that literally ever happened to me. When I came into the office, I had not too many questions because I just wanted to hear what they could offer me. And then I heard the stories and I was like thinking in the back of my mind, this is just like everybody else. But then when Dr. Aaron leaned over and said, we can fix you in the best shape possible. But all you have to do is you've got to listen and do what we say 100%, and it will happen for you. And I just broke into tears and said, I need you. So from that point on, I just started doing what they told me to do. I started eating healthy, following the 5 essentials. I had started with a new mindset immediately, said I'm not a victim. I went into the alignment for my spine. Oh my gosh, my first adjustment, I got my hearing back in my right ear, which I had been partially deaf in like all my life. And then I had just had an endoscopy for heartburn 2 weeks prior, and they said I was facing another surgery in my esophagus for heartburn that I had for all my life, chronic heartburn. That went away in the first adjustment, along with eating healthy and exercising regularly and eliminating toxins. My life changed completely. I no longer, after being in the Maximize Living program, I no longer have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, no longer in the stages of diabetes. I have so much more energy. I can work out every single day with no problem versus barely being able to bend down and tie my shoe or even put on a shirt. You don't realize how much life there is out there until you've experienced the Maximize Living life. People said, oh, you've got your life back through Maximize Living. No, my life just began when I met the people that showed me how to live healthy and fully. And I just want that for everybody. So that's my story. And I just encourage everybody to experience it. It's worth it, because spinal correction was not something that I thought I needed. But as soon as I was experiencing the realness of health and the real adjustments that are taking place to fix me, not just all that turning and cranking like I had been messed with tons before, this was so different, and the experience is unbelievable, and it's changed my life. Now, after being almost 300 pounds, I am at 200 pounds solid muscle. I'm still working on staying healthy, eating healthy. It's not about weight loss. Always remember, it's always about staying healthy and just keep on living and don't give up. Maximize Living changed my life. How can it change yours?
So here's a question to find out, is your lifestyle killing you? Are you working out on a consistent basis? If not, then your lifestyle is killing you. We have a genetic requirement to move. Exercise is not about staying a certain weight or looking a certain way. It's about living. Our body is needing to move on a consistent basis, getting oxygen to our tissues, building lean muscle. And so we want to get rid of any excuses that hold you back from making exercise a part of your lifestyle. So time is one of the biggest things that we see that hold people back. So the way that we help you to get through this is all we're asking is 12 minutes. The MaxTV workouts don't take a lot of time. This is something that as a family you can implement, do with your kids, help them to see that exercise is a part of what you do as a family. My husband and I actually get up in the mornings, setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier. I promise you that loss of that little bit of sleep is not going to impact you. Get up 15 minutes earlier, you do your 12-minute workout, you're able to start your day in a much better place. Your energy is actually going to be up, your metabolism is going to be better, and I promise you it's going to make a huge change when you start to really implement all the 5 essentials. So make sure to go to maximizeliving.com/maxT3 for weekly workouts. So no one plans to have major disease in their lifetime, but when we look at the way that things are right now, 5 out of 6 people will have heart disease or cancer. 1 in 2 men will have cancer in their lifetime, and 1 in 3 women. When we look at these statistics, it's easy to think that a major healthcare crisis is going to happen to somebody else or somebody else's family, but it's not a matter of is this going to happen to you and your family, it's a matter of when. And we want to empower you to take control of your health. Instead of waiting in fear for a diagnosis, we want you to take charge of your life, and accountability is where it really starts from. So the people around you understanding why it's important that you're making these changes. This is why we started doing the community dinners. So we do these once a month in order to be able to plug your friends and family into why these changes are important. Because living the life the way that everyone else is, again, even though this is common, this is not normal. We need to be making changes to get ourselves healthy and well and make sure that we're not living a life of sickness and disease. So make sure to talk to your staff about the next time that the community dinner is and get your friends and family signed up. So we have a lot of people when they start to lay on the sleep aids at night, we have you start with 20 minutes and slowly work up to falling asleep on those. But a lot of patients wake up and the rolls are all over the place. So an easy tip that you can do is to place it under the fitted sheet in your mattress. That way it won't move and you're able to lay on it longer, and this becomes part of your lifestyle.
I'm Dr. Fred Roberto with a great lower body movement, the basic lunge. Here's a great staple in lower body movements, and that's the good old-fashioned lunge. We'll do a forward lunge for demonstration purposes today. So with a lunge, what I want to do is take one big step out forward, and I'm going to step heavy with my heel, especially if I want to go really low. I want to get out heavy with my heel and start to move forward, and I want to sink down when I get my knee out over my ankle right here. And I'm fighting to keep my back leg straight. So let's talk about a couple dynamics there. So when I take my step, again, it's a big heavy step out, and I stepped heavy with my heel, because if I don't, I just step with my toe right here. The problem comes in the fact that when I go to sink down, then I'm gonna see my knee start to go out over my toe. There's some controversy over that, but you know, they say they may put too much torque on the knee. But at the end of the day, let's err on the side of caution. And so we're gonna step out, and I wanna keep my knee back behind my toe, and even lined up with my shin would be great. And it doesn't mean it's gonna compromise how low I get. I could still get incredibly low. So I keep my back leg straight, and I wanna keep my upper body up. I don't wanna be bending forward like so, right here. So I wanna sink down. And then there's a return portion of this that's also very important, and you can really work on power and explosiveness. And what you want to do is load and drive heavy off of that front foot. And by driving back, you're going to really recruit more fast twitch muscle fibers. So here's a deep lunge and back up, and a deep lunge, fighting to keep my back leg straight, explode back up. And of course, you could do this with weights. You could put dumbbells in your hands. You could put a barbell over your shoulders, a sandbag. You can hold a stability ball or medicine ball, something along those lines. And but let's go through some modifications of that as well. So some people have got bad knees or something along those lines. They may not be able to go as low. So they simply don't step as far, and their range of motion is decreased. Just like something like here. Or if you need to, begin here. So obviously, like always, we want to promote full range of motion. That'll give you your greatest strength gains and give you the best benefits from a joint health perspective as well. For more information like this, you can visit maximizeliving.com/MaxT3. I'm Dr. Fred Roberto. Max out.
A properly functioning nervous system is essential for life. This is something that being adjusted regularly, this is what you need to do to live. I look at, this isn't how I grew up, but I am so grateful that I was introduced to this way of living, and it truly is living. When you're healing and functioning at 100%, this is expressing life, and this is why we talk about the importance of kids and babies being adjusted from birth. A lot of times we have people come in and ask why a newborn baby is here to be adjusted. It's not because they're in pain. We want to make sure from the minute that they're born, they have 100% ability to function and heal at 100%. So my son was adjusted as soon as he was born. We have patients who we take care of entire families. So if you have friends or family that need to be checked, we have a Patient Appreciation Day coming up, and this is an opportunity for you to introduce this way of living. Again, when we look at how sick people are, this should be what we do for life. We make sure that our bodies are expressing their full potential. So this is an opportunity at the Patient Appreciation Day for them to come in for a discounted evaluation and learn how important the 5 essentials are to life.
This is Kimberly Roberta with Maximize Living, and I'm going to show you a really simple, healthy salmon dish. And salmon is great because it's so versatile. You can, depending on how you spice it up, can make it completely different. But I want to spend a minute talking about salmon, and I can't stress enough how important it is to pay attention to the animal products that you're buying. I just want to talk specifically about salmon right now, but you never want to buy farm-raised salmon. You actually want to buy wild-caught, preferably Alaskan Pacific salmon that has all of its omega-3s intact. And a couple of scary things about salmon and farm-raised salmon is that they actually feed salmon the same thing that they would feed, say, a cow, and that's grains. They're feeding salmon corn, which is not obviously what they're supposed to be eating, and it changes those fatty acid ratios, which is one of the reasons that you're eating salmon in the first place. Not to mention they have to use colorings, and it's just bad news. And even more frightening than that, they've actually approved the very first genetically engineered salmon. So I'm not going to get into too much of that, but you know that doesn't sound natural. And so guess what? No labeling either. When you go to restaurants, you're probably getting conventional farm-raised salmon that could be genetically engineered. Best thing is to know where your salmon comes from. Make sure that it's wild caught so that you can get all the health benefits and none of those dangers that we're basically guinea pigs with. So what I have here are a couple of fillets of wild caught salmon, skin on. So all I'm going to do is season these up a little bit with salt. So this is pure mineral salt, unrefined. You never want to use regular table salt. And some fresh ground pepper here. The great thing about this recipe is you really don't have to measure. I love those. It's really easy and you don't have to measure. So these are pretty thin salmon fillets, so these are going to cook really, really fast. So this is another great thing about something like this recipe is that you can have dinner ready in a snap, and there's really no excuse to not eating healthy. It's going to take you way longer to decide where to go, get in the car, go order food and get home than it would be to just make this. Okay, get off my soapbox now. So I have the salmon in a glass dish that's going to go into the oven. I'm going to pour a little bit of butter. This is organic grass-fed butter. And a little drizzle of olive oil. Again, we're getting these good fats in along with the omegas that are in the salmon. We're getting it from these healthy oils as well. Okay, so we're almost done. That was super fast. I have some fresh dill here that I'm just going to sprinkle over the top. And I like dill, so I'm going to put quite a bit on there. You don't have to use as much if you don't want to. We're going to squeeze some lemon juice over the whole thing. And for extra juice and for presentation, we're just going to put some lemon slices over the top. It looks beautiful before it's even in the oven. Looks delicious. Now these are somewhat small, and so I'm not going to cook them very long in the oven. You don't want to overcook salmon. You want it to be a little bit pink in the middle. The way you'll know is you'll test it with a fork to see if it flakes a little bit, and it's okay if it's a little pink in the middle. That's how you want to eat it. So I'm just going to pop this in the oven. And I'm going to cook this at 450 degrees for about 10 minutes. All right, my salmon is done. I'm just going to take it out of the oven. And you can see the lemon and the dill make it look absolutely beautiful. And that's going to be a quick and easy go-to meal. Again, super easy, no excuses to not eat healthy. Enjoy it.
Every time you get an adjustment or purchase one of the Maximize Living supplements, you're helping someone in need to receive care. Here's one of their stories.
I'm Joellen Williams, and I've been coming to Dr. April for several weeks. I came in with massive anxiety, thinking I was in excellent health, and with one treatment, the anxiety left. And not that I don't get anxious and nervous, but not pervasive like that was, just constant. And I thought I didn't have any problems except some rash on my hands that she assured me would go away. And then we took the x-rays and discovered the adjustments that I needed for my spine, and they've been marvelous. And I'm thrilled to be here, delighted to know these ladies, and truly the love that's here I've not experienced other places. They'll love you unconditionally and assure you that things can be better.
So after doing your warm-ups, it's really important when you get into the adjusting room to lay down right away. We want to make sure that your body is out of gravity. You just warmed everything up, hydrated the discs, and we want to make sure that your body is out of gravity so you can start to relax and receive the best adjustment. So make sure as soon as you get in the adjusting room, lay down, take some deep breaths, start to relax. We want to make sure that every time you're here, we can remove every bit of interference with each adjustment.
I'm Dr. Fred Roberto with a little more complex upper body posterior chain movement, the corn cob pull-up. Let's get into some pull-up variations. And so one pull-up variation is to do a corn cob pull-up. And so there's kind of an isometric component to this, and you're also sustaining a contraction in that isometric fashion, but going through a slow range of motion, so you're creating different angles in the joint and tension on the joints as well. So you're gonna go into your classic dead hang pull-up position, and what I'm gonna do is, instead of pulling straight up, I'm gonna pull over to one side or the other. In this case, I'm gonna go off to the right, so I got my chin off to the right. I'm gonna slide across like I'm eating some corn. I'm gonna come back down. And so again, it's up to one side, over and across, and down. And you could do it from what you do on one side. It's important to do the other way here, across and down. Now for assistance, again, you could put your foot up on a bar, on a higher bar. You could put your foot inside of a band, or a low resistance band, to just give you a little assistance. Or you can use something, a final modification, like the band here that we typically show. And anyone could really do this. That's why I like to show this as a final modification. Anyone could do it. It's a little more challenging with this movement because what you have to do, so again, I want my palms facing down to simulate that same pull-up fashion. I'm gonna pull in, but I'm gonna pull across. So instead of what I did up on the bar, where I pulled my chin up to one side, here I have to pull my hands down to one side. So I'm gonna pull them over to one side here, and then sustain that contraction, go slow and controlled, and slide it across, and release. Pull to one side, hold it, slide across. You have to really work, and then release. And then what you do to one side, again, slide across, and go to the other. But anyone could still do that more complicated movement, and it definitely is more complicated. But after you gain the strength of a pull-up, then you can progress to something like that. You'll develop the joints on a much different level. For more information like this, you can visit maximizeliving.com/MaxT3. I'm Dr. Fred Roberto. Max out.
So if you're texting right now, I want you to freeze and just think about the position that you're in right now. Looking at the habits that we do on a daily basis, we have to think about how that's impacting our bodies. And when we're consistently looking down, that's actually affecting the cervical curve. So if you want to actually improve your body, improve that curve and make sure the arc of life, the communication from the brain to the body is working at 100%, make sure that you're sitting upright. When you're texting, actually hold your phone up at eye level. It's going to make a huge difference. And think about even when your kids are on the computer or they're on any tablets or anything, try to help change their position as well.
My name is Melissa from Jacksonville, Florida. I was referred to Maximize My Living online for some people who have been coming here for a while, and I knew I needed to find a chiropractor. Mine had retired several years prior. Came in here really just expecting to get adjustments because my back had been aching a lot and had no idea the extent of what Maximize Living really was. Heard a little bit, they started talking about the 5 essentials. I thought I had it all together. I was doing everything I should. I was eating somewhat healthy and exercising, walking a little bit. Had no idea the extent of what eating healthy really meant. Started doing better, went to the Nutrition 101 class and thought, you know, I can make some changes. I can see some of these, but there's no way I'm giving up my sugar. There's no way I'm giving up a lot of different things. I did a little bit better. But then I got the diagnosis of breast cancer and realized it was an all or nothing. You cannot just do a little bit here or there. And after learning from Dr. Aaron and Zach about the nutrition and it's all over. It's not just, you can't just fix one area, just the adjustments or just your nutrition or just your exercise. You gotta fix everything. The quote from the Cancer Killer's book, if your why is big enough, your how becomes irrelevant, became my mantra. So the advanced plan that I thought was impossible to fully encompass became a lot easier. Adjusted my diet 100%, lost roughly 25 pounds since August, and feel great. I've had other friends who've been diagnosed with cancer around the same time frame, and whereas they are going through the traditional method of treatments, have had many hospital stays and side effects to do so, and mine so far is just being tired. And I really credit that to Maximize Living and all of the tools that they've given me and the continued support throughout the whole process, and the recipes, the ideas that I need in order to vary my diet so it's not so boring, as well as the encouragement not to give up and to keep pushing forward. The office atmosphere it's so much like a family. You come in and you get hugs all around. You actually look forward to seeing everybody and hearing about their days and how things are going. It's not your normal office. You don't just come in, you're not just a number sitting there waiting to be seen. It really is a family, not only with the staff and the doctors, but also the patients. It's the camaraderie, getting to see everybody each week and you kind of start getting to know them a little bit and their stories. Maximize Living, I've shared with so many of my friends. It's become so much more than just, like I said, than just a doctor's office and a family. It's a way of life. I want to shout from the rooftops to everybody, want everybody to see and have their eyes opened like ours, my family's been open, just to see how our toxic lifestyles really affect us. And even if it doesn't mean a cancer diagnosis, just these regular everyday people think it's just part of getting old. I just wish I could shout from the rooftops and let everyone know how they too can get healthier. Just get them into one of these offices and one of the clinics to hear for themselves. Maximize Living has changed my life. How can it change yours?
Hi, I'm Kimberly Roberta with Maximize Living, and today I want to show you how to make one of my favorite raw recipes, meaning all of the ingredients in this are raw, uncooked, meaning you keep all of the good health benefits of eating raw, all these raw veggies. And if you notice, all the different colors. And so when you see vivid colors like this, they're full of phytonutrients, and like something like a bell pepper is loaded with vitamin C. You wouldn't think so, but it is. And so I want to show you a couple different ways you can do this. If you have a spiral slicer, and there's a lot of different ones on the market, you can use that to do your noodles. And again, you can use this, even if you're cooking it, to do something like a pasta or put pesto sauce on it. So this is, if you have one of these, great, you can use it. I'm going to show you another trick if you don't have one. So these make nice noodles. It literally looks like spaghetti. It's really cool. And these are, you can get them on, you know, in the regular grocery stores now. I've seen them online. All right, if you don't have one of these, what I've done is I've sliced some zucchini with a mandolin. So slice them really thin. You can stack them up and then just cut them. So again, you're making, again, it looks like noodles, just more of a linguine noodle instead of a spaghetti noodle, but that's it. And look how nice that comes out. So I'll just mix that in with it. Okay, and then a trick with the carrots, and this would be a core plan option. So if you're really trying to stay away from sugar, you want to stay away from carrots as well. But the trick here is to just use your vegetable peeler to make nice little strips. Whoops, I dropped one. So that's all there is to it. Really, really easy. So the most prep time it takes with this is just in chopping. But I find chopping, when all these things are like uniform like this, I don't know, I like it. It's fun. It's fun to chop. So I've got cauliflower here, chopped finely. And then you saw the red bell pepper. You could use green bell pepper as well. And then I have, this is red or purple cabbage. And so it looks just beautiful in here. And once the marinade gets on it, it tastes just fabulous. So I'm putting all this in, and then I have about ½ a cup of loosely packed cilantro here. So again, all of this goes in, mix it up. It looks pretty already, just like this. So this could be a salad on its own, and you could dress it up however you want. 2 more ingredients I'm gonna put in here. I have some organic chopped green onions, and I soaked some walnuts and cashews and chopped those up. Again, you don't have to soak them. The soaking just helps them be more digestible. And so none of those are roasted, meaning this is a raw salad we're making. So we want to keep the any nuts or seeds that we put in here raw as well. Okay, so now what I want to do is move on to making my sauce. Okay, so for the sauce or vinaigrette that we're making, I'm going to do 1/4 cup of raw almond milk. Almond butter. So this is going to be like, this is a veggie pad thai type of recipe. So I've got 1/4 cup of raw almond butter, 1/4 cup raw tahini, and tahini is just sesame seeds that have been pureed. So almond butter and tahini. Then I'm going to put a couple of tablespoons of coconut milk. And if you guys have had pad thai before, I like mine spicy, so I'm going to show you how to spice it up. And then 1/4 cup, I'm just going to use my same measure here, of liquid aminos. Okay, we're going to do 1 clove of garlic, and I'm going to use a press here. You can mince it finely too. I just like the press because it's quick and easy. Simple. And then I've got about 1 teaspoon of fresh grated ginger here. Again, you can put more or less or leave it out completely if you want to. And then I'm going to do the juice of 1/2 of a lime. Okay, and then we'll do 1/2 teaspoon of curry powder. This is going to give it its nice curry flavor. About 1/2 teaspoon of that. And I like mine spicy, so I'm going to put a little sprinkle of red pepper flakes in here. A little sprinkle I like a lot. And we're going to give it a stir. Whisk it up so everything's blended. And then what happens is when you pour this on your veggies over here, you could eat it right away. Ideally, you want to let it marinate, and overnight is probably the best. Once it soaks in and those vegetables absorb all the flavors and the vegetables soften, especially like the red bell peppers, it just tastes amazing. And so again, this is something that is great on the go because it's raw, not heated. So you can take it with you. All right, let me see if I can get this moving. Sometimes it's easier to use your hands. Since I'm on camera right now, I won't do that, and I'll just mix it in. But you want to mix everything in, get everything covered. It won't need salt because you put the liquid aminos in there. You could put additional pepper in there if you want to. And this is, again, we want to keep this a raw recipe, but if you wanted to, you could stir fry this, heat it up. You could even add some chicken or salmon to it if you wanted to, but if you want to keep it a vegetarian, raw vegetarian dish, it's good just like this. So many nutrients, great for cancer fighting and just building your immunity. We don't eat enough raw vegetables. You should be eating a salad, at least one every single day, and this is a great way to get your veggies in. It's a little bit of a different flavor and a different twist, but I highly recommend it. Again, if you can let it marinate, that's gonna be your best bet. The flavors will all mix together nicely.
So here's another question to find out if your lifestyle is killing you. Are you eating processed foods, and have you been eating those for years? If you're eating processed foods, just know that the FDA has allowed more than 3,000 food additives and preservatives to be approved for use in our food supply. There are food manufacturers trying to approve so many new chemicals to be used in our food supply that the FDA can't keep up. And what they did is actually start to allow the food manufacturers to police themselves. They're doing their own safety research to let us know if it's safe or not. So typically once something is in the food supply for years is when we find out the damage is there. So we're pretty much guinea pigs when it comes to our food supply. So when we wonder where toxicity comes from, this is where. So the average person consumes about 140 to 150 pounds of additives every year. So if you've been eating processed food for years, this is why you need to be detoxing your body. So if you've never done the detox system, make sure to talk to the office staff or your doctor about doing this, and also plug into the 21-day spring restart. This is going to allow your body to get rid of all those toxins that have built up and reset your systems. Kind of like spring and fall cleaning for your bodies, we need to make sure that we consistently remove interference with that toxicity and allow our bodies to heal. Every time you get an adjustment or purchase one of the Maximize Living supplements, you're helping someone in need to receive care. Here's one of their stories.
So I encountered Maximize Living when I was actually a teenager. I was on my high school swim team, and Dr. Ben Lerner and his team became our team chiropractor, and I started getting adjusted right there in the home base of Celebration, Florida. And then flash forward to about 8 years later, I had moved to LA, came out here to pursue my dreams of working and living in LA as a host and a TV host and an actress, and really missed chiropractic in my life. Really wish that I could still have a Maximize Living office, but the nearest one was over an hour away. So I started coming here to the Dream Center and started serving and just loving on God's people, started going to Angelus Temple Church, and then what do you know, but Maximize Living actually followed me here. God, brought Maximize Living to the Dream Center, and so that's when I started getting plugged back in with Maximize Living, and it's been the best blessing that I can imagine this past year. I would say the hardest foot is getting in the door, just like a gym, taking that first step in. Give Maximize Living a chance, because as the name says, it's really truly going to maximize your life. What's amazing, I think by chiropractic, most people assume, oh, well, maybe my back will feel a little better. But the nice added benefits are it's not just your back, but it's an overall sense of being. I've always said it's like you come in, you get your power turned on. It's like you get activated and ready for the rest of your life. And And it's great because, especially here at Maximize Living, the staff and Dr. April is very warm and friendly and welcoming. So if you're having a bad day, it's like even just coming to the presence of this office, you like instantly feel better and uplifted about your day. Maximize Living has been a huge part of my weight loss story. I had actually not been getting adjusted regularly for a couple months, and as I started to lose weight and I was doing all these extra workouts, I noticed that my back was feeling really out of it. I could tell there was different subluxations out, and I was like, you know what, I gotta get back in here. My body's breaking down. Let me, go get my back in good shape. So I started coming back into Maximize Living about twice a week, and I instantly noticed my running form was getting better. My trainers were like, wow, girl, your posture is picking up. Like, what are you doing? And so I definitely knew without even realizing it, the adjustments were helping me and helped me get all the way down to my lowest weight I've ever been at in my life. So I'm now actually a total of 111 pounds down from my highest, and I really attribute to getting adjusted as a big key to my success.
It's actually really important if you're not feeling well to make sure that you get in here for your adjustment. Research has shown that immediately following an adjustment, that your immune system actually boosts up about 200%. So if you want to think of the best thing you can do to make sure your immune system is fighting whatever bacteria or virus is trying to take over your body, make sure that you're here for your adjustment. And you may actually need extra adjustments as well to make sure that your body is healing the best that it can. This is going to minimize the amount of time that you're off work, the amount of time that it's affecting your family or the things that you need to do. And we want to make sure that you live life to your full potential.
Hi, this is Kimberly Roberta with Maximize Living, and today I'm going to show you a really simple smoothie recipe. It's a green smoothie. I also call it a green lemonade. And you can see very simple ingredients, but everything that you see here is loaded with nutrition. Anti-inflammatory, aiding in digestion, full of vitamins and minerals and dense nutrients. These are things that you need to be getting into your diet some way, sometime, and this is a great way to do it. I'm going to talk about the juicer here in a minute, but for most of you, most people have some sort of high-powered blender, and that's what we're going to use today. So by using something like a blender, we're keeping all of the fiber intact. When I talk about the juicer, you're eliminating the fiber content and just juicing it. So all we're going to do is I have a green apple here, chopped so it goes a little bit faster. And green apples I love because they're much lower in sugar and lower on the glycemic index, so they're a great fruit to have. Now a lot of people, when they make smoothies or juices, they use a lot of fruit. Fruit is very high in sugar, so that's not ideal. I'm going to throw a couple of slices of lemon in here with the lemon peel because the peel is where all of those awesome flavors are. You don't want to put too much, it can tend to make it bitter, but I'm putting the juice of one lemon, and like I said, a couple of those little slivers of lemon in there just to get the peel that gives it that really tart lemon flavor. It's awesome. Okay, and then a couple more ingredients here. This is ginger. Again, so healthy, so many great healing properties to it. So I'm going to put a little coin of fresh ginger in there, and a little coin, this is fresh turmeric root. And of course, turmeric gets a lot of press these days because it is so powerful. But I like the whole root, and this you can actually find in the regular grocery store a lot of times. Of course, you can use the ground turmeric, but again, using something fresh and whole is much better than getting it out of a jar that's been sitting there for a while. So I'm going to throw that in there too. And then this is coconut water. And again, coconut water is one of those things that has a lot of hype to it, but you do have to be careful. You want to make sure that it's not ultra processed. Some of those big name brands are ultra processed. And so you want to stay away from that and try to get the cold press or the raw coconut water. And that's what I have here. So really simple. You just put everything in the blender together. And I'm going to let this run on high for quite a while. Because you're keeping all the fiber and the skins and things like that in there, you're going to want to run this on high and really get it mixed up as well as you can. So I ran that, I don't know, about 30, 35 seconds. And again, you want to get it so that you mix everything up really, really well. And then, oh, I'm going to pour it in my bigger glass here. And then you just pour it. You can drink it right out of the jar or in a straw. This is great too because you could put a lid on it and take it with you. This, you want to drink right away though. You don't want to let it sit too long because you want to keep all of those nutrients that you've just blended up and brought out. So you want to drink this, you know, within an hour at least, ideally in under 20 minutes. And I just want to, I'm going to move this around here so I can show you this juicer. Now there's a lot of juicers on the market. There's two different kinds. This is a cold press juicer and then there's a centrifugal juicer. And this one I like better because again, you're blending and juicing things fresh, so you want to be able to retain those nutrients, and this helps do that. So this you can juice several things and then keep it in the refrigerator for a day or so, whereas the centrifugal juicers, you really need to drink that within about 20 minutes. Again, the difference here is we're putting all the same ingredients in. You could even put more veggies in here if you wanted to. I throw cabbage in there, bok choy, whatever I have on hand. It's a great way to get those juices in. You could throw a carrot in there if you wanted to. But again, this is extracting just the juice, not the fiber. And so this is a great way. A lot of cancer patients will use something like this because it literally gets the nutrients directly into the cell. Your body doesn't have to digest the fiber and things like that. So again, two different ways. Most people do have a high-powered blender in their home, so definitely get these into your diet. Again, simple ingredients. These are things that you should have on hand at all times. You should have in your refrigerator and pantry. So that's all there is to it. Very, very simple. The last thing that I want to mention is if you need to, and I don't recommend doing it because again, we want this to be a nice green smoothie, you could sweeten it a little bit with some stevia if you wanted to. Otherwise, drink it straight up. That's an even better way. We don't need the sweeteners. Sometimes it makes it taste a little better or more like what we're used to, but definitely give this one a try.
My name is Joan Matthews, and I'm originally from Connecticut, but I've been living in Jacksonville, Florida since I was 17, so I've been here a while. Before Maximize Living, I had been seeing a chiropractor for the last 3 years. I started going there for massage therapy, and then during the last year I was also getting chiropractic adjustments. I have ruptured discs in my low spine in the L5-S1 area, and I pretty much had been told there was no hope and it was not ever going to get better. I've had them for 8 years. And primary care doctor, chiropractor, physical therapist, everybody told me it can't get better. And then I had a friend who kept trying to get me to go to a dinner. And I wasn't really sure I wanted to go to a dinner to go see a chiropractor. I said, I don't need a chiropractor, I've got one. And she said, well, I don't need one either. I said, why are you going? And so she said, well, they have other things too. And she knew I was interested in learning more about nutrition and how to get healthy. So she had invited me to go to some of those things. So I went to Nutrition 101 and I went to Shop with a Doc, and it was really helpful. I was very concerned about eating healthy. I knew that eliminating sugar from my life was going to help with inflammation, but I needed to learn more. What else could I do to eliminate inflammation? And I had also been sick a lot and was I was very concerned about what the diagnosis might be. I had a bad blood test. The blood test had me sent to a hematologist, oncologist for possible cancer. But that doctor said we had jumped the gun and it was too soon to go talk to him, and he couldn't run any tests because it was just one bad blood test and I wasn't sick enough. He couldn't do anything else for me. So I started doing research and trying to find out what do I eat, what do I not eat to help myself get healthy, and that's why I was searching for the nutrition. I still was not looking for a chiropractor. I came here and went to those 2 events, and I really liked what I learned. And then I decided I'd go ahead and go to the dinner. And when I went to the dinner, I was there early, and I was noticing a chart on the wall with the spinal column and all the nerves connected, And I realized it's a lot of the parts that I'm having problems with. They seem to be connected to my spine. And then I was talking with one of the ladies from the office before we got started, and she asked me how long I had been seeing the chiropractor, and I told her 3 years, and she said, "Why aren't you well yet?" And I thought, oh, that's very arrogant, but she had me intrigued. I was very interested in what she had to say, and I was ready to listen to what the doctor had to say. So while we were waiting for our meal, I was listening to Dr. Aaron speak, and I was very impressed with her. She talked about how God has designed our bodies to work, and has designed our bodies to heal themselves, and that God does not need any help from us, that He doesn't need any interference from us. And I started realizing, well, I already know my spine is messed up, and I know that I need to eat healthier, and there's things that I could do. So I agreed to come in for the initial evaluation. I still was really skeptical. I had been told for 8 years nothing could be done for me, so I still thought nothing could be done for my spine. But I still thought I could get something from nutrition. When I came in for the initial evaluation, one of the first things we did was check my muscles to see how much they were working. And if I remember the numbers correctly, my neck was working at like 141%, trying to keep my neck straight, and my side was working at over 200%. And I thought, well, no wonder I'm in pain all the time. That makes sense. When I got to talk with the doctor about my x-rays, Dr. Aaron told me that she felt like she could have my spine straightened in 4 months, so that it would allow whatever healing my body would be able to do. And I fell apart. I just bawled. Nobody had ever offered me hope before. Everybody told me nothing could be done. And I still wasn't sure what to do. I had a chiropractor who was taking great care of me, I thought. I wasn't using a walker anymore, and she kept me going to work every day, and I loved her. But I felt like I had to give this a chance. And the following week I started here. And I came in determined I was going to do everything Dr. Aaron told me. If she said she could do something in 4 months, then I was going to do everything she asked me to do to make sure it worked. And in 2 weeks, my hip and my rib heads were no longer popping out of place. And in 4 weeks, my head was over my spine, where it belonged. And one thing after another, everything just kept getting better. I go to work every day. I used to look forward to dying. I wasn't suicidal, but I really was looking forward to the day I was going to die, because I was in so much pain every day. I couldn't imagine living a long life like this. And I didn't want it. I didn't want that life. And Dr. Aaron gave me hope that I didn't have to live that way. It has done a lot to restore my faith. For a long time, I believed, I've always known God can heal. I've seen Him heal other people, but I always believed He wouldn't do it for me. I was sure He wouldn't. I'd been through so much for so many years, and I knew God just was choosing not to heal me. And I had no idea that it was because there was interference and He was trying. And with taking the interference out of the way, my body has been healing itself, and I couldn't be happier.
So after doing your warm-ups, it's really important when you get into the adjusting room to lay down right away. We want to make sure that your body is out of gravity. You just warmed everything up, hydrated the discs, and we want to make sure that your body is out of gravity so you can start to relax and receive the best adjustment. So make sure as soon as you get in the adjusting room Lay down, take some deep breaths, start to relax. We want to make sure that every time you're here, we can remove every bit of interference with each adjustment.
I'm Dr. Fred Roberto, and we're here to set your metabolism on fire with foot fires. One movement that is incredibly simple but not easy is the foot fire. I love this. It's way, way, way harder and more effective than people think. And so I said it's simple, but it's not easy. So it's simple because all you have to do is get in a good athletic position. I'm going to bend my knees slightly, get my feet a little wider than shoulders width apart. My heels come slightly off the ground. Should be able to slide a piece of paper underneath my heels. So I'm in this position, and from here, in any sport, whether it be basketball or football or baseball, you can make a play. Wrestling, you can make a play. And so I'm here, I'm in this position, and all I'm going to do is start moving my hands very quickly, and more importantly, my feet very quickly, as if I'm standing on a bed of coals. I'm getting them up and down. And it's not as important that your hands move, but it is important that your feet do. So I'm here, and it's just like so. That's it. So just feet moving as fast as you can. And I'm telling you, it's way, way harder than it looks. So you can use that in a variety of different ways, in little surges and bursts, or you could try to stick it out for a full minute, something along those lines, or you can incorporate it with other movements, like you'll see us do foot fire bag jumps, or you'll see us do JBs or something along those lines. Check out those exercises, and you'll see how incorporating foot fires can be an effective way, especially if you're training for athletics and maintaining a good athletic position and staying very mobile. For more information like this, you can visit maximizeliving.com/MaxT3. I'm Dr. Fred Roberto. Max out.
Every time you get an adjustment or purchase one of the Maximize Living supplements, you're helping someone in need to receive care. Here's one of their stories.
My name is Jenna Kennedy. I'm from Florida, and I am the Director of Short-Term Missions here at the Dream Center. Maximize Living has completely helped change my life as far as health. Once I came here about a year ago when they first opened, and at that time I was actually unable to run more than a mile because of how bad the pain was in my knee and in my shoulder from flying into a windshield, actually. And so within the year, I'm now able to run without any pain at all and be able to use my arm almost fully, still working on that a little bit, but it's been awesome to just be able to fully run and exercise as much as I'd like to. This last March I ran my first half marathon, and I will be doing another one this next spring as well. So it's a very warm, welcoming office and just a lot of fun. Even now I still enjoy my visits here, and it's kind of part of the highlight of my morning to come in and see everyone's faces and be welcomed by them. Just really enjoyed my experience and thankful that as Maximize Living, as a foundation, you have invested in the lives of the residents here at the Dream Center. A large portion of us wouldn't be able to receive the same care in other places, especially those in our programs. And so I'm really thankful for people like yourselves taking a chance to serve our community and go above and beyond with that.